Hi and welcome. There are some little helpers built into Unity I hardly see anybody mention. Let's focus on 25 tips that make working and creating UI in Unity quicker and easier for you. You know about the grid snapping feature, I suppose. It's ultra useful when working in 2D and 3D environments, and I focus on that a lot in my 3D level building tutorial. But did you know the snapping works on UI as well? Might not look like it does at first, right? Thing is, your UI has 100 pixels per unit by default, so treat this one as a pixel grid. Values like 50 or 25 are super useful to quickly create a snapping grid for elements. In your rect transform, you'll find some anchoring presets behind this icon that does not look like a button. This is where you can quickly change how your rect transform gets anchored and sized. By holding Alt, Shift, or both at the same time, you get access to even more presets. I typically keep both keys held down to pick something, like the one in the down right corner to quickly fill the parent object's complete size with whatever I'm working on. When resizing objects on your canvas, hold Alt to resize equally in opposite directions relatively to the location of your pivot. Holding Shift and resizing objects will resize the size you are pulling on, plus the two sides attached to it, while keeping the opposite edges located where they are. Holding Shift while rotating objects will snap them to 15-degree increments. Holding Alt and Shift sizes in all directions based on your rect transform's pivot. If you resize a TextMesh Pro text box with your mouse and you suddenly see the yellow lines move instead of the width of the object being changed, you resize the margin of the TMP component, not the element itself. You can find that setting in the extra settings. It's sometimes useful to have to make sure your text box contents don't bump into background elements or edges. While we are here, if your font of choice has ligatures and you want to use them, but they don't show up, enable them in the Font Features dropdown like this. If you can't change the location of your pivot by mouse, or if it looks stuck in the center of your object no matter which number you put into the pivot's location, your pivot is set to center. Go to the dropdown at the top left and switch that over to Pivot. You'll notice the donut shape is now much clearer too. You can duplicate elements by holding Shift and D. If you want to move them, it's easy to offset them. While dragging your element, hold Shift so the axis gets fixed. This, plus working with the grid snapping feature, is super nice to quickly lay out a design. The exact opposite to this is holding Control while moving. This will remove any snapping to any other objects. You can quickly pan across your layout by holding the mouse wheel down. If that doesn't work, hold Alt, then click and drag. And apropos pivot, if you have a TextMesh Pro text box and attach a content size fitter to it to have it automatically size itself based on text amount, and please remember to only use this component at the top of your layout hierarchy or else stuff will break. I explained this in detail in my layout system tutorial. This recalculation of required size is based on the pivot as well. By default, when you add more text, it will expand top and bottom. If you change the pivot's location to the top, it will only expand downwards. A location at the bottom will have it expand upwards. Same is true for horizontal preferred size and setting the pivot to the left or right edge. Learn something new? Please give the video a like and consider subscribing. All graphics, like images and TextMesh Pro UGUI objects, as well as dedicated layout system components, give infos about their preferred, minimum and flexible size. If you ever wondered how long your text box needs to be to fit all text into a single line, open the layout properties by picking them from the dropdown and enter the preferred width into the rect transforms width. Otherwise, preferred height will give you the info about how much vertical space it requires based on its current width. Again, I cover this in way more detail in the layout system tutorial. This is also super useful when you need a reminder of your image's sprite sizes. If you're working with TextMesh Pro and text styles that set part of your text in a different font assets than the source one, where source can be the one you specified in the styling system or in the font asset themselves, TMP will create a child object to your text object. That's a submesh and makes sure the differently set text get rendered correctly. You'll hardly ever need to do anything with this, but it can clutter up the hierarchy a bit. In the TextMesh Pro settings under Edit, Project Settings, TextMesh Pro Settings, you can hide these child objects from view by checking Hide Subtext Objects. And since you're already here, change the default font asset to something you'll actually want to use, which is, hopefully, not Liberation Sans. You'll have to place that font asset file in any resource folder you have in the Fonts and Materials subfolder, or this won't work. Every text box you create going forward will use this new default. You saw that auto-size text container checkbox, didn't you? It's not worth toggling. It will only size the initial text box you create and does not mean your text box will automatically size when you change the contents. If you are reusing certain setups for components a lot across objects, like I do with complex components like flexible image, create presets for those. You can find them by clicking on the slider-looking icon in the bar of the component. Prefabs can be absolutely great, but sometimes you don't need to have everything based on them, while a simple, hey, set up this component the way I like, with just 2 clicks, typically speeds up creating repeating elements a lot. And if you have some settings you actually want to be baseline, for example, I set all my TextMesh Pro objects to not block raycasts, head over to the project settings again and go to the preset manager. You can add a default preset via a button, just enter which component you want to change and drop the preset in you like. This won't change any previously created objects, just the ones being created going forward. You don't have to add anything to the filter, this will work as it is. If you want to see moving effects on your UI, for example, if you are working with an animated texture in a material for your texts, it might look laggy in the editor, or look like nothing is changing at all. Click into the editor window and hold down your right mouse button to see how it would look like at runtime. You can also enable Always Refresh from the dropdown to get a similar effect without holding down a button. When you want to copy specific values across objects, click on their label, press Ctrl+C, switch to the other location and press Ctrl+V. I use this a lot, especially when setting up transition colors for toggles and buttons. If you wish TextMesh Pro would work a little bit more like CSS, watch my tutorial on text styles. It might be old, but it works just the same in Unity 6 as it did 3 years ago, and it might lead to the biggest shift on how you work with TextMesh Pro. You can navigate your hierarchy with the arrow keys. Right and left arrows expand or collapse objects. When you quickly need to find which object you are working on, you can ping it. Click on the top 3-dot menu of the inspector and select Ping. This is especially useful once your UI gets complex. If you're working on a high-resolution monitor and Windows, you can change the UI scaling of the editor by navigating to Edit, Preferences, UI Scaling. 125% typically make elements a lot easier to see and navigate. And an extra tip, you can create your own palettes for the color picker. I highly recommend doing that, and this tutorial will tell you about even more small niche tips on setting them up. So, what was new to you? Anything that will change the way you work going forward? I'd love to hear it. If you enjoyed this one, please give the video a like and consider subscribing. My videos typically focus on all things UI and Unity. Have a great week!